Go. We're here to talk about Odessa. I'm here with Joe and Zach. My name is Andrew Fink. I lived in Odessa for a little bit, lived in Ukraine for a lot longer, lived in Kyiv. Do love Odessa very, very much.
And Drew, this is Joe Lindsley. Drew, you're talking to us from Philadelphia now, yeah?
Yes, I am.
Yeah. And Zach Zach, you are in Dnipro, yeah? Your
Yeah,
favorite
I'm
city?
still here.
Yeah, your amazing city, yeah. Well,
Still in this amazing city.
we made a podcast yesterday that I'm not sure we can release until after the war. We'll see. But anyway, it was a little prickly, as Zach would say, a little contentious. But so I thought it'd be great to have Drew join us tonight because Drew loves good arguments, and also Drew, you were the first person to tell me to come to Ukraine
I
years
was.
ago, right? Yeah. You were
It's
living in Kyiv.
the place to be. Yes.
And what? Let's start with okay. I'm in Odessa. Why do you love Odessa?
Why do I love Odessa? Well, let's say three things. All right. First, people. It's a place where sarcasm is really treasured, and a when you aim a well aimed insult at somebody, they are actually more likely to like you and respect you than to attack you. And this, of course, gels perfectly with my personality.
I heard today for the first time like some of the Odessa humor, and so like if someone in front of you is moving too slow, you can say "move your fats," move your fats, and
That's
but people laugh. They don't get mad. They just move. Yeah.
It's great. So yeah, it works with my personality. Two, the history and the cultural context of the area I find to be one of the most fascinating in the world. In that, on the one hand, it is an incredibly important city for Ukraine, for Europe as a whole. However, culturally, it is still Russian. I don't mean politically Russian, but I mean culturally, it is a majority Russian-speaking city. And then, of course,
Wait, you mean linguistically?
Well,
You mean
linguistically and culturally.
Yeah.
I mean, the people there that
I'm so sorry, Andrew, but politically it's Russian, very Russian as well. Because I have read today a lot of shit that mayor of that amazing city said to the Italian journalists.
Oh
And it
yes,
was
I was just
bullshit.
reading that too. But the mayor of the city, I usually joke, as people say, if people tell me he's, Odessa is politically Russian, I say, really, how did the mayor become mayor? Do you know? He was
No,
elected, so it's not Russian yet.
yeah, but
I get it. It was a real
it's
election.
it's a lot of different scandals around that
Oh
mayor
yes.
because a lot of people and journalists think that that he has a Russian passport.
Oh, it's first of all, he definitely has a Russian passport, and I would be shocked if he also doesn't have a Cyprus passport as well. Do you know if you Google his name, one of the things that comes up after a few pages is a 1997 intelligence assessment, I believe from the Brits, declassified, about members of the Russian mafia in Italy, where he was at the time. Like everybody knows who this guy is. Okay.
Wow, what's his name? I don't know.
Turhan.
Sure.
Motherfucker.
What Drew, only the time I came to Odessa was actually 3 years ago from the day I got it. It was the last Sunday in August with you and our friend from Sweden, and But this is when I came here a couple of days ago. There's Ukrainian flags everywhere, and people are in the streets singing Ukrainian songs, including songs of the Ukrainian insurgent army from the Carpathians.
Oh, wow.
So there is a bit of a difference. I mean, they're still speaking Russian.
Well, I believe you, and I'll say when somebody shoots cruise missiles at you, it tends to concentrate the mind.
Yeah, and that's what my friend that runs the jazz club here said. It's it's trauma here for these people because especially the first months of the war, they couldn't dance in the streets, they couldn't sing like they're used to, And he actually said, I don't want to share with the world the stories of our lives now because it's so horrible, you know. And
And can I say, I mean, I'll keep them anonymous to help them, but I know one in particular guy in Odessa who identified as Russian. And he was, we'll say, politically ambiguous, but I could tell, he felt, he was more leaning on the Russian side, even after 2014. I've talked to him recently. The experience of getting rocketed by his beloved Russia, I think, has changed him permanently. He no longer talks this way. He now talks about Ukraine. I think he's probably gonna, or he already has joined a Ukrainian army unit. So,
well, man, you told me so much of what happened in 2014 with the trade union building and how
yeah.
Russia, Odessa almost fell into Russian hands, right, in 2014.
Yes, and the deputy head of the Odessa police, right after that event, fled to Russia-controlled Moldova, Transnistria, which is right over the border there. Yeah, just for people who don't know, that there's a Moldova is like right next to Odessa, right next to Odessa Oblast, and there's a section of it that the Russians still and Russian proxies still effectively control. And I assume the Russians are running all sorts of operations out of that. They still broadcast Russian radio out of that area, both in AM and FM. And yeah, after 2014, it looks like there was an attempt by Russia to start a People's Republic type deal in Odessa, like they had in Donetsk and Luhansk, and tried to in Kharkiv. And when that failed, the deputy head of police fled the city, along with some other people, which tells you, I mean, how far up the collusion probably went.
Yeah, the same collusion that I think happened in Kherson in February of this year. But then today there was the amazing. Did you see this amazing counter? I think amazing.
Yes.
We don't have a lot of
details. It's way too early.
Counteroffensive in Kherson.
I'm gonna give it a day before I say, it's official, it's real.
Yeah.
But yeah, it looks so. So let's talk about that for a second. And I'd like to hear from you guys. Despite Putin's evident failure to capture Kyiv, to keep a hold on Sumy, he still seems to, until today, cherish an idea that sometime in the next year, there's going to be a general offensive that's going to cut across southern Ukraine and capture Mykolaiv and Odessa. Still believes that. Still holding on to that little bridgehead on the other side of Dnipro. I think that's the only reason why he's still there, because the amount of resources that you need to keep that area, it's very flat. I don't know have you been there, Joe?
Kherson? No.
Yeah. How about you, Zach?
Zach, have you been?
No.
Okay, well, when this is over, you gotta go.
Zach is a Galician. He doesn't like to leave Galicia, I think. Yeah.
Well, it's still interesting. All right, I visited Kherson a bunch. I think it's a fascinating little city, little-ish.
Yeah, I want to go there and eat watermelons.
Yeah, well, and tomatoes, man. The tomatoes are where it's at. So basically, when the Russians attacked in February, on all fronts, they very rapidly took over southern Kherson and also crossed the river and took over Kherson city, and then tried to go up and take Mykolaiv. That failed. However, they're still hanging on to Kherson city and the land around it. The thing is, there's only 2 road bridges and 2 rail bridges connecting the two, connecting the one bank from the other. And the Ukrainians have spent the last month using HIMARS to destroy or disable these bridges. So now the Russian troops there are probably pretty short on ammunition and fuel. And if they're smart, they're getting out of Dodge right now.
Yeah, we don't know. We have reports that there were tons of helicopters coming up from Crimea.
So can I say, I predicted, I wrote an article about this. I predicted that Russia was going to destroy these bridges over the Dnipro and withdraw to the southern side, so they could take the resources that they had, for that city, and deploy them in Donetsk, maybe doing an attack on Zaporozhye. That didn't happen. I suspect the reason is Putin still thinks, or thought, he could eventually take Odessa.
Yeah, which would be a pride. It'd be the nicest city in his country. Right? I mean, it's uh
I don't know. I think they are not able to take like nothing really.
No, I mean, I mean, they obviously suck. But I'm saying, why has Putin hung on to the right bank of the Dnipro for so long? Which I think is a it's strategically very stupid for him to do this, in my opinion. Like I said, I thought he was going to leave. He didn't. I think that it's because he still wants to take Odessa. He visited Odessa a couple times. He considers it one of the greatest cities, one of the greatest Russian cities, and if he can't take Kyiv, it'd be a great consolation prize, but it's not going to happen.
I didn't know until I was talking with Yaroslav, the owner of the jazz club here, and he's also a historian and playwright and chef, and that we hear this narrative. I even read this in the BBC, like, oh, Odessa was founded by Catherine the Great, Catherine the Bitch, but whose statue is still here, but that obviously there were settlements here before that. She kind of claimed it as her own city, but it was an amazing.
But the settlements, there was like a Turkish fort, and there was a Moldovan village, probably next to the Turkish fort. Now, before the modern era, given the fertility of the soil, given how excellent the harbor is, and given just how great it is to live there, it might be kind of surprising for us that there really wasn't a major settlement in that area until very recently. And this is for two reasons. One, security. This was a Turkish area, and then the Turks, if you had a sort of a European style settlement there, they wouldn't necessarily like that. They like to graze their horses, not farm. And two, and I think this is most important, the natural fresh water supply in the city of Odessa was very, very limited. And it wasn't until you had in the modern era, like, aqueducts and this sort of thing, to actually bring enough fresh water for there to be a city there, as opposed to a little town.
What? Maybe we should. Drew, did you ever go to Dnipro?
Unfortunately, not.
No, man,
Zach's
it's not. Unfortunately, don't tell like that. It's not unfortunately. You're happy.
No, I really want. I've heard good things about Dnipro, and I'd really like to take a look at that bend in the river. And strategically, it's a very important spot for Ukraine. That's after the two bridges in Kherson, there is no other bridge until you reach Zaporozhye.
Yeah, that's true.
That's an important thing to see and to look at, to know about. I haven't been.
Drew, have you started to study Ukrainian so you don't have to speak Russian?
Just a little bit, Joe. I work so hard just to make my Russian not sound awful now that I don't speak it every day. That takes up all of my attention. I have a line I usually give people, especially Ukrainian nationalists, when they get huffy about me learning Russian, not Ukrainian. I say, I'm sorry, I only study the languages of my enemies. Okay, I don't got time for languages of my friends. You guys, you're doing your own thing, because I study disinformation and propaganda. That's what I do, and Russia is one of the major languages for that.
On the disinformation thing, man, I was, and we don't want to go into all the details on this, but with Mark Zuckerberg on Joe Rogan, and it brought up the New York Post story about Hunter Biden's laptop and all that, blah blah blah, whatever. But in all the stories about that, it talks about Hunter Biden's money-making deals in Ukraine, and that's Russian propaganda. It was deals with a company owned by a friend of Vladimir Putin that the Ukrainian people kicked out in 2014. But maybe that's my hobby horse right now to make that point.
No, it is your hobby horse, but it's you're never going to stop talking about this, Joe. I mean, I've been freaking out about this for a while. So.
I have.
Go ahead.
Shit. Hello.
Yeah, we can hear you.
Hello.
We can hear you.
Oh, good. How are you doing?
Great, man. Merry Christmas.
At 9 o'clock, I was on the bridge in Dnipro, and the alarm started, and we had live to the Amsterdam from Dnipro. And the alarm started, and after I think 2 minutes, the alarm started. We heard the bombs somewhere in Dnipro. Yeah, it was fucking weird standing on the bridge and listening the bombs around.
That was
gotta-
today.
Yeah, it was 2 hours ago.
Oh shit. Yeah, Drew. I mean, I don't. Oh, sorry, you cut off there. Drew, that's I think it might be the hardest thing for you. I mean, you as someone who loves Ukraine so much, to to see. You know, I mean, you were the one that you told so many of us in America how great life is here, and the creativity and the culture and and to see all that under this daily threat is difficult.
Yeah, I got out of there though before the war really accelerated. So
And I remember as your wedding, you and Helen, we were on an island in the Dnipro River in Kyiv, 2020, September, I think, 2020, right?
Yep.
And almost you had so many of the key Americans and Ukrainians working to keep this country free. We're all there at the wedding, and after everyone got a little bit, after a few drinks, the main topic was potential of Russia taking over Ukraine back in 2020. And I remember looking at the skyline of Kyiv. You could see the domes of the monastery and the Lavra, and thinking, I couldn't imagine that. But everyone I talked to there was so convinced that this would happen. And sure enough.
No, he tried.
Yeah. Anyway, well, let's
One
I'm
on that note, sort of with Odessa and with Kiev, these were two big prizes that Putin thought he was going to bag, and he really overestimated his capabilities. By the way, I thought that Russia was going to do much better in this war than they actually did, and I thought Ukraine was going to prevail in the end. But the Russians are doing so much worse than I think anyone would have predicted.
Yeah, because Ukraine's done so well. I think. I mean, I think
Ukraine has done so well, yes, but also the Russian strategy is insane. Putin keeps having, it seems to me, really grandiose ideas about what he can accomplish with the resources he has.
What is the thing? And my last question, and then Zach, I'll leave it to you to ask anything or say anything. But what is the thing that you think the world does not understand? Because you've studied Putin and Russian propaganda. What is the thing that the world does not really seem to understand about Putin? And I ask this in the context of the Zaporizhia nuclear plant.
I think the world, if we're talking about like the world, like everyone in the world, like we will not talk about the people who are checking, like read the news every day and want to know something, like regular, for example, Americans. I think they didn't understand that Putin much worse than Saddam Hussein or Osama bin Laden or other motherfuckers. He is much worse. And the world didn't understand that. That's the main problem, I think.
I don't know. Saddam Hussein's pretty bad, but yeah, he's up there. He's up there.
Wait, you think? I think Putin is definitely worse. I mean, we don't have to compare everything, but
well, I mean, Putin has not yet used chemical weapons on Ukrainians. When that day comes, I will say he's worse than Saddam Hussein.
Man, you can use like chemical weapon for 10 people, okay? Or you cannot use chemical weapon and kill 1 million. And
yes.
What is worse?
No. I mean, first of all, they're both bad people. Once again, I think that unfortunately, Putin is not necessarily like better or worse than Saddam Hussein. Putin was a better strategist than Saddam Hussein was. less given to insane fantasies than Saddam Hussein was. However, and can I say this? This is what I want to say is my thing people don't get about Putin, is that Putin, I think, actually believes that this war in Ukraine is a defensive war for him, because he actually believes that Ukraine, the free country of Ukraine, is a giant CIA project coming for him, which is insane, but he believes it.
And what is it, Drew? Is there a succinct thing? Because a lot of this, we hear this in America, this Euromaidan, CIA. Maybe that's a topic for another time. I think it has to be a topic for another conversation. So let's talk about that next time. But let's talk about Euromaidan next time. And
but so the consequence of this, and maybe this is where we can agree, is that a lot of Western analysts, when they look at what Putin, says he wants and what he has the capability to do, and we say like, oh, he'd never do something like, invade Ukraine on 6 fronts at once, because that would be insane. But if you're Putin and you actually believe you're facing this massive threat to Russian civilization, then it kind of makes more sense.
So, all right. I think this is he's. I don't see that. I think we'll have to talk about this further, because because you can kill women and children. You can hit civilian targets routinely. Anything becomes justified.
Yes,
that's there's no. The only logic I see is a logic based on the foundation of an evil principle, and it is
an evil principle.
He runs.
Putin is a Chekist. He is a Muscovite secret policeman, and he still works with that set of ethics. And according to those people, those kind of people, the means are justified by the end pretty much all the time.
And should the West be afraid of his nuclear threats?
Oh, yeah, absolutely. I haven't done the research that I should yet, but I'm working on it right now, especially with relation to the nuclear power plant in outside of Zaporozhye. That he might. Okay. Yeah, we can talk about that after we do. But this,
we got a lot.
Yeah.
Drew, maybe you could join us tomorrow, man. We can talk more about this.
I won't be done by tomorrow. Give me a couple more days. All right, I'm doing an article on this.
Yeah, but let's talk tomorrow, because we'll both be Zach and I will be in interesting cities in Ukraine, and but there's so much more to talk about. But we got to close it now.
Maybe have some better sound next time. But
why, you have bad sound?
Yeah. At least from my end, it's pretty bad, but it's all right. We can edit that part out. Well, hey, you guys have a great evening, and Slava Ukraine.
And have a good night.
All right,
Zach, you want to close this out, bro?
No, I will be, as you said, rude and nasty. So
yeah, just
I want to hear it. I want to hear it. Hey, in the spirit of Odesa, lay it on me.
Okay. It was speak shitty. Speak fucking shitty, like useless words about nothing, with Joe Lindsley, Andrew Fink, and Zakhar Pik. Thank you so much, and have a good night.